Welcome to the Vibes Lab, your front row seat to the science behind VIA, the Vibes AI agentic platform making everyday brain health accessible to all. Every episode is designed to reveal insights that will enhance your cognitive health and well-being. Follow us to grab your lab key and experience limitless intelligence.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to explore something pretty fascinating. It's how sound therapy can help you find your direction in life. You know, especially now, it seems like there's just so much information out there and so much noise coming at us from every direction, and it can be a little overwhelming at times. And what's interesting is we're actually going to tie this to this concept called irrational intelligence. And believe it or not, it actually connects back to Pi Day 3.14.
Yeah, it might seem like a strange connection at first, but it makes sense when you think about it. You know, pi, that mathematical constant, is irrational. You know, it goes on forever without repeating, so it's constant and infinitely variable. And our brains are kind of like that too. You know, we crave that familiar comfort of routine, but we also need those bursts of those new experiences to really thrive.
I like that. So are you saying that, like, pi, finding our path in life might not be a straight line? It could be full of unexpected turns and possibilities?
Exactly. And that's where sound therapy can come in. It can help us tap into that dual nature of our brains, that need for stability and exploration, which can be really helpful when we're trying to figure out our next steps. Have you ever experienced that kind of calming effect of listening to certain sounds, like ocean waves or rain?
Oh, totally. Sometimes I'll put on nature sounds when I'm working. It definitely helps me focus and feel more relaxed, for sure.
That's a great example of how sound can impact our mental state. What's happening there is a phenomenon called brainwave entrainment, where certain sound frequencies can actually influence our brain activity, and they can kind of nudge our brain waves into a desired state, whether that's relaxation or focus or even deeper sleep.
So it's not just about listening to something that sounds nice. There's an actual science behind it.
Absolutely. Think of it this way: your brain operates on electrical impulses, and those impulses create brainwave patterns. And different brainwave patterns are associated with different mental states. For example, alpha waves, which are around 8 to 12 hertz. Those are linked to that kind of relaxed creative state.
So could irrational intelligence use those sounds in that alpha wave range to, like, help me get into the right mindset for, like, coming up with new ideas for a project or something?
Precisely. It's like using sound to gently guide your brain into a more beneficial state. And this is where the specifics of the irrational intelligence program come in.
Okay, I'm ready to hear more about this irrational intelligence. What makes it so unique? How does it actually work?
It uses a very specific combination of sound frequencies to target key areas of the body that are traditionally associated with intuition, self-expression, and personal power. You know, those qualities that are kind of essential when you're trying to figure out your path in life?
Wait, so we're talking about sound influencing energy centers in the body now. Can you explain what you mean by energy centers?
Now, when we talk about energy centers, we're not talking about anything mystical or anything like that. Think of it as the flow of energy within your body. You know, kind of like how different organs have specific functions. Irrational intelligence kind of works with these energy centers using sound.
Okay, so how does that work? How does sound actually influence these energy centers?
So, irrational intelligence uses 3 key frequencies: the musical notes A, G, and E, and each note targets a specific area. So the pineal gland, the thyroid, and the solar plexus. For example, the pineal gland, often associated with intuition and insight, that's targeted using the A note.
So by using the A note, irrational intelligence is working with my pineal gland to help me tap into those gut feelings and make decisions that are truly aligned with my inner compass.
That's the idea. It's about helping you access that kind of deeper level of knowing within yourself.
This is really interesting. Can you tell me more about the other notes and the energy centers they target?
Sure. So the thyroid, which plays a huge role in our energy levels and metabolism, that's targeted by the G note.
So that's the one that's supposed to boost my energy and motivation. I could use some of that.
Exactly. And finally, the solar plexus, which is often linked to personal power and confidence, that one's targeted using the E note.
I'm starting to see how all of these 3 notes could work together to create this sense of inner balance and clarity.
Yeah, that's precisely the goal of irrational intelligence, to create that sort of internal harmony that helps you feel more aligned with your purpose.
I'm definitely intrigued by all of this. But before we get too deep into the specifics of how irrational intelligence works, let's maybe take a step back and talk more about brainwave entrainment. I think it's important for our listeners to really understand how and why this works.
That's a good point. Yeah, understanding the science behind it can make it feel less woo-woo and more like a practical tool that you can use to benefit your life.
Exactly. So can you break down how brainwave entrainment actually works?
It all starts with the fact that our brains are constantly producing this electrical activity, which we can measure as brain waves. And these brain waves oscillate at different frequencies. And each frequency corresponds to a different mental state. For instance, alpha waves are associated with relaxation and creativity, while beta waves are linked to focus and alertness.
Okay, so we've got these different brainwave patterns, each associated with a distinct state of mind. How does sound therapy actually influence those patterns?
When we listen to rhythmic or pulsating sounds, our brainwaves naturally try to sync up with the frequency of those sounds. It's like our brains are trying to match the rhythm. And that process is what we call brainwave entrainment.
So if I'm listening to sounds in the alpha frequency range, my brainwaves will gradually start to synchronize with that frequency, and I'll eventually enter a more relaxed state.
Precisely. And that's just one example. Different frequencies can be used to encourage different brainwave patterns, which can be incredibly helpful for managing stress, improving focus, or even promoting better sleep.
This is fascinating. I'm starting to see how sound therapy can be so much more than just a way to relax. It's like a powerful tool for self-discovery and personal growth. And I'm especially curious to see how irrational intelligence takes these principles and applies them to help people find their direction in life.
Absolutely. Irrational intelligence builds upon these fundamental principles of sound therapy, and it uses specific frequencies to target those energy centers that we discussed, ultimately helping you to tap into your intuition, boost your confidence, and move forward with a clearer sense of purpose.
I'm excited to learn more about how it all comes together. But before we dive into those details, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll explore how irrational intelligence can help you find your path amidst life's infinite possibilities. Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about how irrational intelligence uses specific sound frequencies to target energy centers in the body. I'm really curious to learn more about how this actually works.
Of course, remember we're focusing on the science-backed effects here, not any mystical interpretations. So let's revisit those three key frequencies, A, G, and E, that are used in irrational intelligence. Each note targets a different energy center, starting with the pineal gland.
Okay, the pineal gland. You mentioned that it's targeted using the note A. Can you remind me what the pineal gland is associated with, and how could sound potentially influence it?
The pineal gland is a fascinating little structure in the brain. It produces melatonin, which regulates our sleep-wake cycles, but it's also often associated with intuition and that deeper sense of knowing that we sometimes call gut feelings. Irrational intelligence uses the frequency of A to target this area.
So we're talking about specific musical notes now. How can a musical note influence something like the pineal gland?
Think of it this way. Every note has a specific frequency, a rate of vibration, and those vibrations can resonate with different parts of our body, including the brain.
So the frequency of the note A is somehow in tune with the pineal gland. What could that potentially do for someone who's trying to find their direction in life?
Well, if the pineal gland is indeed connected to intuition and insight, as many believe it is, then stimulating it with sound could potentially enhance those abilities. Imagine feeling more in tune with your inner guidance, more able to trust those gut feelings that are often whispers we ignore.
That's what I'm talking about. But what about those times when I need a boost of energy to actually take action on those insights? Does irrational intelligence have something for that too?
It does. Remember that G note we talked about? That one targets the thyroid, which plays a major role in our energy levels and metabolism.
Right. So the pineal gland is about intuition and insight, and the thyroid is more about that get up and go energy I need to make things happen.
Exactly. And stimulating the thyroid with sound, according to this approach, could potentially lead to increased energy levels, a more positive mood,
Yeah.
and even sharper mental clarity.
Okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. Each note corresponds to a specific area of the body and a potential benefit. So what about the solar plexus? I've heard it called the power center. How does irrational intelligence work with that?
You got it. The solar plexus is often associated with willpower, self-confidence, and those gut feelings that tell us what's right for us. Your rational intelligence uses the note E to target this area.
If I could use a little more confidence and a stronger sense of my own power, especially when making big decisions, would stimulating the solar plexus with sound be the way to go?
Proponents of this method would say yes. They believe it could help you feel more grounded, more capable of standing up for yourself. and more confident in making choices that are aligned with your true desires.
This is fascinating. So irrational intelligence uses these three notes, A, G, and E, to create a kind of internal balance, like a tuning fork for our energy systems, helping us access our intuition, boost our energy, and feel more empowered to take action.
That's a great way to put it. It's about finding that harmony within ourselves so we can navigate life's complexities with more clarity and purpose.
Okay, but let's address the elephant in the room. All this talk about energy centers might sound a little out there to some people. How much scientific evidence actually supports these claims?
That's a valid question. And it's important to be discerning when exploring any new wellness approach. While the concept of energy centers is rooted in ancient traditions, there is a growing body of scientific research exploring how sound can impact both our physical and mental states.
So it's not just a bunch of mystical beliefs. There's actual science to back it up.
Yes. For example, we talked earlier about brainwave entrainment, which is a well-documented phenomenon with solid scientific research behind it. And newer research in bioacoustics is exploring how sound vibrations can affect things at the cellular level, even influencing gene expression.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So even if we may not understand all the nuances of how sound works on the body, there's definitely evidence suggesting that it can have profound effects beyond what we typically think of as music.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes this field so exciting. There's still so much to discover about the potential of sound to impact our well-being.
Okay, I'm convinced. Sound therapy is clearly more than just listening to relaxing music. It's a powerful tool. But how does all of this relate to finding our direction in life? That's the core of irrational intelligence, right?
It is. Remember how we talked about our brains craving both routine and novelty? That dual nature is key when it comes to figuring out our path. We need stability to feel grounded, but we also need exploration to learn, grow, and discover what truly resonates with us.
So how does sound therapy, especially this irrational intelligence program, actually help with that process?
Sound can be incredibly powerful for self-reflection. When you listen to music that deeply moves you, it can evoke strong emotions, memories, and even insights that you might not have had otherwise. Sound therapy can help create a mental space for introspection, making it easier to tap into your intuition and connect with your inner wisdom.
It's like sound can help me quiet the mental chatter and really listen to my inner voice.
Exactly. And that's a crucial step in finding your direction. By quieting the mind and creating a sense of inner peace, sound therapy can help you access that deeper level of knowing where your true desires and passions reside. It can also help you let go of limiting beliefs and fears that might be holding you back.
That makes sense. But finding direction isn't just about listening to my inner voice. It's also about taking action, making choices, and actually moving forward. How does sound therapy fit into that part of the equation?
That's where the Irrational Intelligence program really shines. By stimulating those energy centers associated with confidence, motivation, and personal power, it can help you feel more energized and ready to take those steps toward your goals.
So it's not just about passive listening. Irrational intelligence can actually motivate me to take action and make things happen.
Precisely. Think of it as a sonic boost to your willpower. It's about helping you align your energy with your intentions, so you feel more in tune with your purpose and more capable of making choices that lead you to a fulfilling and meaningful life.
I love that. It's like giving yourself a sonic pep talk. Can you tell me more about the specifics of how irrational intelligence works? Like, do I need to listen to those three notes, A, G, and E, in a specific order, and for how long?
Irrational Intelligence is designed as a guided audio experience. There are specific tracks that blend those thrill frequencies in a way that's meant to create a synergistic effect. It's not just listening to individual notes on repeat.
There's more to it than that.
Yeah.
So what else is involved in the program?
Irrational Intelligence incorporates different elements like binaural beats, ambient soundscapes, and guided meditations, all interwoven with those key frequencies. It's meant to be a holistic and immersive experience.
Okay, I can see how that would be really powerful. But before we get too carried away with all the possibilities, let's bring it back down to earth. For people who are interested in trying this out, what are some practical ways to incorporate sound therapy into their daily lives?
That's a great question. And in the final part of our duck dive, we'll explore some simple tips for making sound therapy a part of your routine, whether you're a complete beginner or have some experience with it. We'll also talk about different types of sound therapy and how to find what works best for you.
Welcome back. We've been exploring how sound therapy can help people find their direction in life, and how this program, Irrational Intelligence, uses specific frequencies to kind of tap into those inner resources. Now let's get practical. If someone's listening to this and thinking, okay, I want to try this out, where do they even begin?
Well, the beauty of sound therapy is that it's incredibly accessible. You really don't need any fancy equipment or special training to get started.
So no need to soundproof my entire house and build a meditation chamber.
No, not at all. Just a quiet space and a good pair of headphones can be a great starting point.
Okay, good to know. But what about the sounds themselves? Where can people find these specific frequencies and programs?
There are tons of resources online. You can easily find guided meditations, nature sounds, binaural beats, and even specific programs like Irrational Intelligence. They're all designed to support different aspects of well-being, from relaxation to focus to sleep.
So a good place to start is just kind of searching online and seeing what resonates with me.
Exactly, and don't be afraid to experiment. Try different types of sounds, different frequencies, and see what feels right for you. It's a personal journey. What works for one person might not work for another.
That makes sense. But what about people who are skeptical? I imagine some folks might be listening to this thinking, this all sounds a bit too woo-woo. What would you say to them?
I understand the skepticism. I think it's healthy to question things and not just accept everything you hear. But I would encourage those folks to approach sound therapy with an open mind. Remember, we talked about the science behind it. There's a growing body of research supporting its benefits. And even if you don't fully grasp every scientific detail, you can still experience those positive effects.
So it's like, even if I don't fully understand how a car engine works, I can still get in and drive.
Exactly. And just like driving, the more you practice using sound therapy, the more comfortable and familiar it becomes.
Okay, I'm on board. But let's be honest. Life gets busy. How can people realistically fit sound therapy into their already packed schedules?
It doesn't have to be a huge time commitment. Even just 10 to 15 minutes a day can make a difference. You can listen to a guided meditation during your commute, put on some calming music while you're cooking dinner, or try some nature sounds while you're out for a walk.
So it's about finding those little pockets of time where you can create your own kind of mini sound sanctuary.
Exactly. And you can even incorporate sound into activities you're already doing. Instead of scrolling through social media on your lunch break, maybe listen to some uplifting music or binaural beats. Make it fun and enjoyable, and it'll feel less like a chore and more like a treat for your mind and body.
Yeah, I like that approach. So we've covered the basics, how to get started, where to find resources, and how to make sound therapy part of your routine. But before we wrap up, I'd love to hear your final thoughts on how this all circles back to that idea of irrational intelligence and finding direction in life.
Well, I think the irrationality of pi, that constant yet infinitely variable number, is such a beautiful metaphor for life itself. Life is unpredictable, constantly evolving, and there's no one-size-fits-all formula for figuring it all out.
So it's about embracing the unknown, those twists and turns that come with being human.
Exactly. And sound therapy can be an incredibly helpful tool on that journey. It can help calm your mind, spark your creativity, and make it easier to connect with your intuition. Those are all qualities that can empower you to make choices that are truly aligned with who you are and where you want to go.
It's like sound is the soundtrack to our own personal evolution, guiding us towards our highest potential.
That's a perfect way to put it. I believe that by embracing the power of sound, you can tap into a source of wisdom and guidance that's always available to you. And that can make navigating life's complexities a little more graceful, a little more purposeful, and a little more joyful.
That's a beautiful thought. And thank you for guiding us on this sonic adventure today. For anyone listening who's feeling intrigued by sound therapy, remember what we talked about today. It's more than just listening to calming music. It's a powerful tool with immense potential. So explore, experiment, and see how it can enhance your life.
Absolutely. And remember, like that never-ending number pi, the possibilities for growth and self-discovery are infinite.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep listening, and keep diving deep.